I am the president of the World Coalition Against the Death Penalty, the international network of close to 160 now organizations all over the world working for universal abolition of the death penalty, and a very proud partner with ECPM in the organization of this Congress. The final declaration of the Sixth World Congress Against the Death Penalty. We, the participants in the Sixth World Congress Against the Death Penalty, organized in Oslo from the 21st to the 23rd of June 2006 by the organization Ensemble contre la peine de mort under the sponsorship of Norway, Australia, and France, and in partnership with the World Coalition Against the Death Penalty, hereby adopt the present declaration following 3 days of intense debates, exchanges of experiences, testimonies, films, and cultural experiences. Underlying the necessity to take further significant steps toward the complete and universal abolition of the death penalty, we issued these calls. We call upon intergovernmental organizations and international organizations to continue and to intensify their cooperation with states and civil society to promote the universal abolition of the death penalty. We call upon them to integrate issues relating to the retention of the death penalty in their discussions between UNODC and all stakeholders, to systematically integrate, whenever relevant, the death penalty into the work done by the UN Special Rapporteur, especially on terrorism, extrajudicial executions, torture, migrants, and extreme poverty. To adopt, as soon as possible, regional instruments such as the additional protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on abolition of the death penalty. We call upon states present at the Oslo Congress to stand by the commitments made during this Congress, especially the commitment of Guinea to promulgate a penal code without the death penalty by next week, the 1st of July of this year. We call upon retentionist states to commit to drastically reduce the scope of crimes punishable by death in their legislation, and in the immediate future to abolish the mandatory death penalty where it exists, and to discuss alternative solutions which recognize each person's ability to make amends, to respect the International Convention on the Rights of Children, and to renounce the use of the death penalty for minors and for those who were minors when the crimes were committed, to collect and publish regular, reliable, and independent information on the manner in which they apply the death penalty and on the state of public opinion on the death penalty and on alternative punishments. To take the path toward abolition of capital punishment by implementing a moratorium on death sentences and executions in compliance with the resolution for a moratorium on the use of the death penalty voted by the General Assembly of the United Nations since 2007, and to follow the 81 countries that have already ratified the UN Second Optional Protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and to guarantee competent counsel for indigent capital defendants. We call upon abolitionist states to make guarantees beyond speeches regarding concrete and visible actions in favor of the universal abolition of the death penalty, specifically by imposing consequences for the violation of these guarantees upon the resumption or continuation of their diplomatic and economic relations with retentionist countries. We call upon abolitionist states to sign and ratify the UN Second Optional Protocol to the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, to make the financial aid they grant to the international war on drugs, drug trafficking, conditional upon the non-application of capital punishment, to promote and guarantee respect for fundamental human rights in the struggle against terrorism, including renunciation of the death penalty, to support actors in civil society working in favor of abolition, to vote in favor of the UNGAS resolution calling for a universal moratorium on capital punishment in 2016. We call upon parliamentarians from across the world to gather in national, regional, and international networks to carry the abolitionist debate into the heart of retentionist parliaments. We call on parliamentarians from abolitionist states to help their colleagues from retentionist states to propose abolitionist bills. National human rights institutions, we call on them to systematically add questions on the death penalty to their agendas and to encourage their states to abolish the death penalty, and to vote in favor of the UNGAS resolution calling for a universal moratorium on capital punishment in 2016. In retentionist countries, we call upon lawyers to seek further training in order to better defend clients facing the death penalty. We call upon prosecutors not to ask for imposition of the death penalty. And we call upon judges to exercise their power of discretion to not impose any death sentences and to encourage non-professional juries to do the same. Economic and cultural actors, we call upon them to strengthen their commitment in order to vigorously proclaim that the application of an archaic and degrading punishment is harmful to the harmonious development of the economy, tourism, and of cultural exchanges. Abolitionist actors from civil society, we call upon them to act in unison by joining the World Coalition Against the Death Penalty, to strengthen abolitionist collaborations, and to join other organizations such as the International Network of Universities Against the Death Penalty. We call upon them to carry out, all of us, carry out awareness-raising and educational campaigns on abolition for the public, for political decision makers, for students, joining the International Network for Education, and we call on all of us to participate in the annual World Day Against the Death Penalty every 10th of October and to observe Cities for Life. So I would like to ask for, dated today in Oslo, Norway, I'd like to ask for adoption of this resolution by acclamation. I'm going to ask you all to stand and say with me, abolition now. Thank you very much. The declaration is adopted by acclamation. Thank you.
Thank you very much to Mrs. Citrin.